everyone, I am Vibha Chauhan and welcome to Chauhan classes Funda Clear. So today I am going to explain the 6th chapter of our class 10th political science, and that chapter is political parties. So political parties. Now in this tour of democracy that we have started from class 9th until now, we are discussing about it. What we have studied includes political parties, doesn't it? Well, we had studied about social differences, social divisions, and we have seen that political parties are kind of negotiators in the arena of democratic politics for all the social divisions and social differences, and we have seen that they also play a very great important role in electoral politics. And in the class 9 we saw that, and we also saw that political parties include a lot of exercising of power of our government, the political power that they exercise and fill the political offices. So what we are going to discuss in this chapter is that before concluding all these two, we must see that what political parties are, what are the functions of them, and why do we need them in a democracy, well, especially our country India that we are talking about. You know what, that we must discuss that why we need political parties and how many, what should be the number of the political parties in a democracy. Well, in our country India, what should be the number of political parties, and we will look at the regional political parties, the national political parties, and all those things in this chapter. So that's what we are going to discuss in this chapter. So without any further ado, let's start the chapter with our first topic, that is, why do we need political parties? So why do we need political parties? And now the first question that might rise in your mind, that it should be, why we need political parties? Why do we need political parties? What are the use of them? Why are they needed? So let's discuss about it. You know what, that whenever we talk about political parties, what happens that in many cases, if you travel to remote areas of our country, they just think that the government is equal to political parties. That is, the government of our country is just political parties. Now if you travel to remote areas, remote parts of our country, then what you would see, then there would be less educated people, and if you talk to those speak to those less educated citizens, what you would see, that they would not know anything about our constitution. They may not know anything about our constitution or the democratic form of government or anything about our government, our prime minister and all those things, but they must know, they would know everything about political parties. They would know that there are these parties, their opinions and their views. So there are chances that there are more chances that they would know about the political parties more than our constitutions, policies and laws that are being made in our country, and all about all those political parties they would definitely know. And that's what we can say, that for ordinary citizens, it's just that they would not know anything about the governments, but they would obviously know about political parties in our country, as there is a lot of electoral politics in our country. Now that doesn't mean that political parties have a lot of popularity among the citizens, among the ordinary citizens. Now our people, most of the citizens tend to think that all the problems that they are facing with facilities, with public facilities and all those facilities and all those problems in their everyday life, they just tend to think that they are all because of the political parties, as they conclude that political parties are the government of our country, and they should think that, they would think that they are to work for the people, and that's why they just think that everything that is a kind of issue to our kind of democratic form of government and our constitution and in their everyday life, they would just think that it is just all because of political parties. So you can just say that there are many critics of political parties as well. There can be public support so much for a party, but there can be critiques at the same time as well. Well, there can be that many people know about political parties, but not as a popularity of their political parties. It could be that there are the critics, that they blame those parties for their work in all those things. So we can just say that is what is the concept of political parties, as we can see that they can be famous as well as infamous for their work. Now here the subtopic that we have got is meaning. So meaning, now let us discuss about the meaning of the political parties. What do you mean by political parties? What are in actual the political parties. Now political parties, you might remember that in the last chapter what we had noted down that there were indirect ways of having a role in the politics of our country, in the government in our country, but there can be direct ways to have an impact in the role of politics as well, and that can be through forming political parties. That was what we discussed in that chapter, and that can be connected to this chapter. Now political party is a group of people for contesting in elections, for having public support and kind of spreading their views and policies that they might have agreed on. Now group of people with similar views and similar kind of opinions, what happened in a political party is that they agree on some policies and agreements, and thus they spread those policies for people as well. A kind of political party can be very large and it can be small as well. So we can just say that a political party does involve partisanship as well, as it has a lot of people in it, it has a lot of members in it as well. There can be a lot of partisanship as well. Now there are three main parts or the components of the political parties, that are the leaders, the activists and the followers. So the leaders, that are the top leaders of the political parties, and the activities that are kind of spreading their campaigns. They are doing the campaigns and they're spreading their views, opinions to the lower stratas of the people. You can say that to the lowest people, strata of the people, they are spreading their views for having public support, for having elections more and more in the next elections, and the followers who are following them, who are kind of devoted to them. So we can just say that these are the main three components of any political party, and that is what is the meaning of a political party. Now on the basis of this, we can say that a political party is generally a group of people who are contesting in elections, and there are many candidates in it. So we can just say that is what a political party means. Now here let us discuss about their functions. What are the functions of the political parties? Now before stating the question that why we need them, let us discuss about their functions as well. Well, the main function of the political parties, as all of you know, that is that to exercise the political power and fill the government offices, the political offices, and they do this work through a series of functions, that are the first of that exercising all the power. As you know that any laws or any kind of act that has been passed through both of the houses, now those members are also from some kind of political parties. There would be a ruling party and most members would be from that party. So we can just say that even if those members have different opinions, they would just listen to the leaders of their parties. Now for example, if there are two parties like party A and party B, these are political parties, and in a house, in Lok Sabha, you can say that if there are these two parties and the A party is in majority, is the ruling party, then what would happen that for passing they would need that more than two-thirds of the elections, two-thirds of the votes of the members, and for doing so, all those members from the A party, what they would do, that they would listen to their leaders of the political party which they belong from. So we can just say that they also play a very important role for forming laws and policies and acts that are being passed in our country, and at the same time they play the role of opposition party as well. Suppose there is a party that is B party and it has not become the ruling party of our country, India. So we can just say that it would play the role of opposition party as well. It would oppose the work, the acts that it would ask for flow, it would ask for the work and so many things from the ruling party, as pressure would be exerted on the ruling party. So we can just say that these two are the criteria, a kind of role for the political parties. And another function of political parties could be of spreading the issues among the people, awareness among the people, or raising their issues to the government. You know what, that the more people in our country are that they would not feel, it would not be easy for them to go to the government, but it would be easy for them to contact any political party. So even if they don't trust the political party, what they would do, that they would negotiate with those political parties and ask for help for their issues, and that political party would bring that issue for having more support, public support, and bringing that to justice as well. So we can just say that there are a lot of functions of the political parties. Now there can be more and more functions, as there can be, as we said, that about issues. And at the same time, the most important function of the political parties, of all the political parties, are that to contest in the elections. Well, if they were candidate in the election, if their members are a candidate in the election, what would happen that they would bring a lot of choices to the people for contesting in the elections, for voting for any candidate from a party, from a particular party. Now suppose there are 4 parties that are contesting in election in a kind of state assembly elections. Now what would happen that there would be many policies that they would offer to the local people, and then those local people would decide who they want to choose as their next kind of ruler of their state or their region. So we can just say that they bring a lot of choices and they also shape the public opinion. Now there can be a lot of ways for choosing candidates. Now there can be 2 ways of choosing candidates for making them stand in the elections. Well, if there is a particular party, now in countries like USA, what happens that to choose a candidate for a particular election, all the leaders and all the followers would choose who to bring them, who to make them as a candidate for the elections. Well, in countries like India, what happens that the top leaders of the political parties would choose who to make the candidate for the elections. So we can just say that there are a lot of functions of the political parties, different types of functions of the political parties. Now let us discuss about their necessity as well with our subtopic, that is necessity. So necessity. Now let's discuss about the necessity of all those political parties. Why we need. In a simple language, we can say that why are the political parties needed in our country? Now let's just discuss about it. You know what? That we can't just imagine. Just imagine a situation without any political party. Well, we have seen a lot of functions that are performed by the political parties. But whereas if we imagine a situation without political parties, then what would happen that all the candidates for the elections who would stand in the elections would be independent, and they would not make any big promises or anything about major policy changes, because now they are independent. They won't have a party or the support. Well, if there was a political party, they can make a very big promises or can make major policy change if they are making candidates in the elections. But if all the candidates are different, then it is just impossible for them to make such policies or some changes, because they won't have that much financial support or that much a guide from the people, as there are a lot of people in the political parties. So we can just say that that's why we can't just think about our country or electoral politics in all of elections without any political party. Now what would happen that we need a necessity. We need political parties in our country. We have a necessity for all those political parties for contesting for the power, as there would be power division as well, for making candidates from different political parties. Well, we have seen that in many panchayat elections, what happens then, there aren't any political parties who are formally electing in those elections, but what just happens that people just get divided into factions and call themselves as a panel for different candidates. So that's just what a political party does. What's the difference here? So we can just say that well, there could be differences. Don't just think in that way. Think in that way. They are also divided, as the political parties are divided of different viewers, different opinion people, and they are also providing candidates from the same political party for different election constituency. So we can just say that is what a political party does, and that's why even directly or indirectly we just need political parties in our country for electoral politics, for exercising all the powers, for fulfilling all the political offices in all those things. So that's what the needed necessity. That is the necessity for our country, or the political parties. Well, there are a lot of political parties, so let's discuss about those parties with the next topic, that is how many parties should we have. So how many parties should we have? Now what happens that just think about it, that how many parties can a country have? Well, the answer is simple. Everyone is free to form any political party. Well, it should be legal. So we can just say that legally, or by the constitution, we can just say that everyone has the right to form political parties. Well, there could be some exceptions, but everyone has the right for making political parties. And besides, we can say that if you look at the election commission of our country, election commission of India, then it has noted down that about 750 political parties are present in our country, or even more than that. So we can just say that there are so many political parties in our country, but only a handful of them are actual contest in the elections. You know what, that there are many parties who even got 0.5% votes or 0.2%, 0.2% votes. So we can't just say that they are the political parties of very good reputation among the people. Well, there are only a handful of parties that we can actually say are the political parties of our country that actually get the support, the public support that they want, and they are the kind of headlines of our country. So we can just say that is what happens. We can just say that there can be 1,000 or 2,000 parties, but for getting reputation, public support, or making campaigns, it's just hard to do so. That's why there can be regional parties and national parties that we will discuss later in this chapter. So we can just say that there can be a lot of parties in a country, doesn't matter to us. Well, in India, if you look at geographically and culturally, then there is a lot of diversity. Now there can be three types of country for the political parties. Now first could be one party system parties, one party system countries like China, as we noted. Well, we saw the example of China in the last class political science. We noted that there can be many formations of different political parties, but they are only allowed to contest elections if they are in a coalition or they are in the Communist Party of China. So we can just say that is because they are the one party system country. That is only one party, that is the Communist Party of China, is allowed to contest elections or even win the elections for that country, for China. So that is the one party system. And secondly, there can be countries, some countries where all the power is rested of the electoral bodies among two parties. That is, all the power, that contest elections and all this competition for the power can be rested with two main political parties, as they have come so far that only two parties are the major parties in the country. That happens in USA, and those countries are called as two-party system countries. Now what happens there, that there are majorly two parties. Well, there are some other parties, but they aren't that much far away. Well, those two parties are the main parties, and they are competing for the power in our election. So we can just say that is the two-party system. Where in countries like India, what happens that there is a system of multi-party country, multi-party elections. That is, there can be more than two parties who are competing for the power in our country. For the power, that means exercising all the governmental political power. So we can just say that our country, India, is a multi-party based system country. Now we need a multi-party system. There can be question among your minds that which is the better. Perhaps this question must not exist, because it all depends on the situation of the country. Well, if you look at our country, now you can see a lot of diversity in our country, traditionally, linguistic diversity and cultural diversity, religious diversity, and all those diversity. Now you can just see that if there is a lot of diversity, then we must give opportunities to all the people of our country, and that's why there are more than 2, 3, or 4 parties that are the national parties of our country that are competing for the power in our elections, that are the main parties of our country. Well, in USA, there are there are Texas region and the northern region. So there are just two different regions. There are just not that much diversity. So we can just say that is why that is two-party system. And in China, you can just see that even by the physical appearance, many people look just the same. So we can just say that their opinions are the same, their beliefs are the same, their religion matters, doesn't matter. There aren't that much religious diversity at all. And even by the physical appearance in the movies or in the shows, you might have seen that many people just look the same. So we can just say that is why, in a contrast manner, there is just one party system in China. So we can just say that it all depends on the geographical condition of the country, on the diversity condition of the country, and all things that matters on the country. And that's why if we don't have any multi-party system country, multi-party system election in our country, then what will happen then definitely there could be big serious matters in our countries. So that could be how many political parties should we have. I hope you might have gotten your answer. Well, there can be main parties, but there can be small local regional parties, so many, more than 1,000 or even more than that. Now let's discuss about the next topic, that is popular participation in political parties. So popular participation in political parties. Now what we saw was that in the first topic we saw that there could be sometimes like kind of that there isn't that much trust to the people, for the people to the political parties. They don't trust the political parties that much. They don't believe in the political parties. They don't believe in the promises by the political parties. But that is partly true for India. Well, there are many evidences through conduction of sample surveys all over the world, all over the Asia, and those evidences shows that there is less trust among the people for the political parties in the southern Asia. You know what, that the proportion of all those people who think that not much or not at all about the political parties for their connection or the participation, there are more number of people, there is more proportion of those people who are in the category of not at all or not much with compared to all those who are great or some. So we can just say that in that region there isn't that much kind of people who trust the political parties, who believe in the political parties. But in India what happens is that there are more, there isn't that much saying that they belong. Over the years, over decades, what has been seen that people are now facing kind of, people are now thinking that they are more close to the political parties, and there is a fairly high participation in the political parties campaign shows as well. So we can just say that a lot has increased, a lot of proportion of all those people who are kind of feeling close to the political parties, who say that they are a member of the political parties in India, has increased a lot. You know what, that compared to developed countries like Canada, South Korea, advanced countries like Canada, South Korea, Japan, Spain, our country's proportion is just too very much we can say that is not kind of that much healthy for our country as well, as if there is so much kind of connection of the people to the political parties, then there will be chances of corruption as well. So we can just say that a lot of popular participation in the political parties in our country could be seen. That is why many people just say, haven't you seen that in the movies or in the real life as well? People just say that elections are all about corruption. So we can just say that this is what it means. Now another thing that we left was that is coalition. Now as we saw in the multi-party system, that there can be many parties who contest for who compete for the power in the country in the elections, but there can be coalitions as well. Many big parties, major parties form a kind of alliance with all those small or regional parties to have the support in the regional areas as well. And the main three alliances, or those kind of big alliances we can say in the elections of 2004 were UPA, NDA and the Left Front. Now UPA, that is United Progressive Alliance, and NDA is that National Democratic Alliance, and Left Front just is the full form. So we can just say that these three were the main, even today they are the main kind of alliance in our country. So we can just say that is what is the popular participation in the political parties at all. In our country, a lot of people just think that they are very close to the political parties and believe that they are a member of the political parties. Now here the next topic that we have got is national political parties. So national political parties. Now let us discuss about the national political parties. Now all those democracies that follow federalism like India or USA, what happens that there can be two types or two kind of division of all those political parties. One that is a national party and another that is the state party. Now you know what, that there are many parties in our country. There can be main or major parties, but there are some parties that are unique or in itself and are very established or old parties, and that are recognized by the election commission as well. Now what happens that they are provided some facilities, so they are recognized by the election commission, and that's why they are a little bit privileged than all the political parties. So we can just say that those are the political parties that are known as the national parties, national political parties. Well, national political parties have their branches, have their power in many of the states of our country. It could be that in many regions of our country, not just limited to one state, and there can be some regional or state parties. State parties are different and regional parties are different. Now state parties are those type of parties that are limited or have the power just in one state, that are kind of not that much wide variety of branches in all over the country. So we can just say that there can be national political parties as well as state parties. Now there are some criteria that is laid by the Election Commission of our country on the purpose of choosing all these parties that would be called as a state party or can be recognized by the Election Commission. Now, for becoming a state party, what are the criteria is that, not all the criteria, but some of the criteria is that you must get 6% of the total vote in the assembly election of any state, and you must get at least 2 seats in that elections. So you must get 2 seats in that election or must get 6% of total votes. Now that is a kind of criteria for becoming a state party. Now these 2 things are necessary. It's not that you would just get 2 seats or would not get any kind of 6% votes. You must get both things, then only that political party can become a state party. And to be recognized as a national party, the criteria are that you must get the 6% of the total vote in the Lok Sabha elections and must get 4 seats in those elections. Or it could be that in 4 state elections you are getting 2% votes from each and you are getting 4 seats from each. So we can just say that is the criteria for becoming a national party. So we can just say that on the basis of this, if you look at it, this situation of 2006, the report of 2006, then there are 6 parties that are the national political parties in our country. Now let's discuss about those national parties one by one. Now first party that we are going to discuss about is Indian National Congress or INC. So Indian National Congress, I think that all of you must know about this party. Now it is one of the oldest party of the world and was formed in 1885, and as all of you know, that played a very important role for the independence struggles as well, in the national movements as well, and even after independence it had a lot of support, because you know that during the time of independence it was the only one party in our country. So we can just say that during that time it had a lot of support from the people, and after independence till 1997 till 1977, and after that from 1980 to 1989, they had a lot of support from the people. They were in the power, they were the ruling party in our country. After that, after 1989, they were starting their power, their support was not declining from the people. So we can just say that Indian National Congress main agenda is that it is a centralist party, neither rightist or neither leftist party. Its orientation is centrist and its main aim is for the secularism, for representing all the minorities of our country, and economical reform as well as with a human face as well. So it emerged as a very kind of important party for our country. You know what, that during that time in 1885, just imagine how it was so long way, even more than 100 years it has been. So it must be a very old party, and there have been many leaders. Under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, you can just say that he had also become the prime minister of our country, the first prime minister of our country, and under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, there were kind of many reforms that were brought up by this party. Well, it was one of the largest party that could be seen in the elections of 2004 with 145 members in it. And you know what, that Indian National Congress is commonly known as Congress Party and has seen many splits. You know what, that there are many splits of Indian National Congress in different states of our country, and they are all kind of supported, they are all bonded with the central party, with the main party, that is the Indian National Congress. Now outside it would be a palm with the 3 color with orange, white and green. So we can just say that is a sign, signature or symbol that is given by the Election Commission of our country as well. So we can just say that is about the Indian National Congress or the Congress Party or the INC, the first party for our country and one of the eldest parties of the world, founded in 1885. Well, it was not formed just by one person. That is why names are not given in your book. You might have studied about them in history as well. Now next party that we have got to discuss is Bharatiya Janata Party or the BJP. So Bharatiya Janata Party or the BJP. Now at present time in 2022, it's the ruling party in our country, India. Well, the Prime Minister of our country at the present time is also belonging from this party, from Bharatiya Janata Party, and it was formed in 1980, reviving at the erstwhile Bharatiya Jana Sangh. So we can just say that it was formed by reviving the Bharatiya Jana Sangh and was formed in 1980, and it got into the power, it got public support after 1989. That was the the time when Indian National Congress started to lose its power. It started to lost all its power or the support from the people. So we can just say that during that time, Bharatiya Janata Party was gaining more and more public support by the people. And we can say that even today, from the elections of 2014 and even the recent elections of UP, we have seen that in 5 elections they were. So we can just say that there is a lot of support or public support to this party, and at present time it's the ruling party in our country. And if we talk about the Indian National Congress, it's about the opposition party in our country. Now if we talk about the Bharatiya Janata Party, its main aim is to make India as a modern country with traditional values and cultural beliefs, and it's also the main aim is for that all those economical reforms in our country as well. And its main agenda is the Hindutva, that is the nationalhood in our country or the brotherhood in our country, the main nationalhood for all the people to be declared. That is the meaning of Hindutva in common language. So we can just say that its main agenda is to bring those, and we had seen the first government of it. If we talk about the elections, now in 2004 elections it didn't win any kind of support, and after that in 2014 it got into support from some of the major leaders of this party were Atal Bihari Vajpayee and present time Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of our country, and many other leaders in our country. So we can just say that that is the Bharatiya Janata Party, and its symbol is a lotus. That is a symbol of this party. So we can just say that that is the Bharatiya Janata Party, the ruling party at the present time, and was formed in 1980. Now the main aim is to make the India as a modern society and with the traditional beliefs and the cultural values. You can just say that. Now next national party that we have got is Bahujan Samaj Party or the BSP. So Bahujan Samaj Party or the BSP. Now listening to this party, you might have come to a very popular image of this party, that is Miss Mayawati, who had been Chief Minister of UP, Uttar Pradesh many times. So we can just say that this party was formed in 1984, and its main kind of power is in UP, was in UP, not is in UP. You know what, that from this party had been ruled in UP for many years, over many years you can say, and in the neighboring areas as well, in Madhya Pradesh, in Chhattisgarh, in Jharkhand, in Bihar. So we can just say that during those years, kind of a decade ago, there were a lot of power that was being exerted by this party. Now main agenda of this party was to bring the minorities, the social weaker communities of our country, the Dalits of those regions, and all those all those OBCs and Dalit people of our country. That this party was formed by Kishan Ramji, and all inspirations of this party comes from those reformers like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar or Periyar E.V. Naikar and all those Jyotiba Phule, those people who have done work for all those lower caste people of our country. Now main aim of this party, that in UP, in Uttar Pradesh, you can see a lot of reform by this party as well. A lot of change could be seen because of this party, as it has brought a lot of kind of discrimination without any discrimination. You can just say that all those people who were known as Dalits and all those lower caste people have now been kind of reformed, have been uprooted because of this party. And if we talk about the popular image, then it will be Miss Mayawati, and we have talked that she has been the CM, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh many a times. You might have think about it as well. And if we talk about Indian National Congress, then there are many leaders, many famous leaders from this party. At present time, there is Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi as well. So we can just say that these three parties are the national parties as well. Now next party that we have got to discuss is Communist Party of India Marxist, CPIM. So Communist Party of India Marxist or CPIM. Now it was founded in 1964, or more specifically if we talk about it, it was a split of a party that we will discuss later. Now this party believes in secularism and all types of communalism. It just supports, it just is against of all this communalism and imperialism. Now it supports secularism and all those socialism and all those forms, as all of you know that it believes its inspiration is from the Leninism and and from Marxism, like from that Vladimir Lenin and Karl Marx. So we can just say that they were inspiration from those two people. They believe in Leninism and Marxism, and that's why even in their name it is Marxist. So we can just say that they believe in socialism, secularism, and their main power, they are more founded, you could say that they are in more power in the regions like West Bengal, Tripura, and you can say that in those regions. So in West Bengal, in Tripura, more among the poor people, the factory workers, the farmers, the laborers. So they are popular among those type of people, you can say. So you can just say that socialism and all those kind of ideologies are for those people. So it is just obvious that they would get support from those people. Now they are kind of support UPA alliance, that is a United Progressive Alliance, and now that they are not a member of that alliance but are supporting it from outside, you could say. Now if we talk about the United Progressive Alliance, now its main member, its main leader is the Indian National Congress Party, and if we talk about the NDA, the National Democratic Alliance, now its main member or the leader of that alliance is the Bharatiya Janata Party or the BJP. So we can just say that this party is also supporting the UPA, not as a member but as an outside party, you can say. So you can just say that its main base is in the West Bengal area or the Tripura area or in the Kerala region, and it's more among the lower strata of the people or the farmers and all those people. Now the next party that we have got is Communist Party of India or the CPI. Communist Party of India. Now this party was founded in 1925 and it also believes in Leninism and Marxism. Now you know what, that it had a lot of support, but it got split, and that's why it got split into CPIM that we have just discussed. Now that party also got power. CPIM also got power for more than 30 years consecutively in those areas in West Bengal. So we can just say that this party earlier had a lot of kind of power. This Communist Party of India had a lot of power, but after that it got split into another branch, and that branch now got a lot of power. And this party also believes in socialism, secularism, and all those ideologies of Marxism and Leninism, and is completely against imperialism and communalism. Now these parties are very similar in ideologies. Both parties are against the flow of goods from foreign countries. They are against the flow of all those foreign countries or all those economical changes in that much in our country. So we can just say that they are just completely against of all those activities that are going because of the foreign activities or foreign goods. So we can just say that they are just completely opposing them. And if we talk about they got split, they are a branch of the same party but they got split, and that's why we can say that their power is also in the same area. This party, Communist Party of India, also has power in West Bengal, Tripura and Kerala region. So we can just say that it also has power in the same regions as of CPIM. So we can just say that these parties are very similar, but there could be some reasons for their splitting as well. Now next and last party that we are going to discuss is Nationalist Congress Party or NCP. So Nationalist Congress Party or NCP. Now this party that was formed also, and after that, you know what, that it also believes in those kind of Gandhian secularism, in equity, in social justice, and it is a kind of split of the Indian National Congress. Now earlier it was in the Indian National Congress, but after that it got split, and that's why it is it was formed in 1999, and it has formed as a new party. You can say that it believes in the kind of Gandhian secularism, in equity, in social justice, in secularism, and all those things. So we can just say that that is a most inspiration, more inspiration of this party. And if we talk about the support of this party, then it is more in power in the regions of Maharashtra. Now you know what, that in Maharashtra region, that is a very large state of our country, it got alliance also with another parties, and it's a very large party in that state. So we can say that this party NCP is a very big party in Maharashtra and has its power in other states as well. So we can just say that that is the six national parties of our country. Now of these all parties, the most important ones are the Indian National Congress and the Bharatiya Janata Janata Party. The Bharatiya Janata Party, that is the present ruling country and is the chief leader of NDA Alliance, of National Democratic Alliance, and Indian National Congress, that is a kind of leader in the UPA. So we can just say that these are all the 6 national parties that we have discussed. Now let's discuss about the state parties with our next subtopic, state parties. So state parties. Now till now what we have discussed is all about national parties. Now those are the national parties that are spread all over the country, or not just in all over the country but in more than 2 states. It can be 4 or 5 states. So we can just say there are kind of countrywide parties in our country, but there are still other parties, political parties in our country that are the state parties or the regional parties that are spread in the state very well, like Samajwadi Party, or you can say that another parties like Rashtriya Lok Dal, Rashtriya Janata Dal, and all those parties. So those are the state parties of our country, and they are also very important in our country. You know what, that in our country there are 6 or 7 national parties, but after that there are lots of state parties. In different states there are different parties. Like in Punjab there is a importance of Shiromani Akali Dal. There could be in Bihar region Rashtriya Janata Dal, or in Jharkhand as well, in UP as well. So in UP there is Rashtriya Lok Dal or Samajwadi Party. In different states of our country there are different parties, and if we talk about Jammu and Kashmir, it could be other parties. In southern part of our country as well there could be some other parties. So we can just say that there are a lot of state parties in our country. And if we talk about the state parties, then it could be that in the last decades, over many years, there has been seen a lot of increment in the number of all the state parties in our country. You know what, that if we talk about the state parties, earlier there weren't that much state parties in our country, but now a lot of variety of state parties can be seen in our country. Well, they are recognized by the Election Commission as if they fulfill the criteria laid by the Election Commission. They are given a symbol of themselves and some privileges as well. So those are the state parties in a federalism as well, because in federalism there could be some national parties as well as the state parties also play a very important role in the country as well. Now the next topic that we have got is challenges to political parties. So challenges to political parties. Now if you were to talk about all those challenges to a political party, then what could they be? Could you think any of them? Now there are many challenges that a political party can face. Then there can be many challenges that a political party can face due to its own fault as well as for the people as well. Now if they are facing challenges, then it's because of themselves as well. Now there can be many kind of changes, there can be many kind of mistakes in the political parties or kind of issues in the political parties. Now first one is that most of the political parties in all the democracies lack the internal democracy themselves. For example, if we talk about any political party, even in our country, what happens that only the top leaders have the decision making power in that political party. Only the top leaders of that specific political party choose whom to make the candidate for the next elections, whom to make this minister, whom to make that minister. And often it is seen that they are not holding the elections themselves in the internal matters, in the internal for choosing the candidates, and they are also not making register of the members and not organizing any meetings among themselves, because all the decision has to be made by all the top leaders. So why would they organize a meeting? They would just go to their homes and just make their decisions. So we can just say that is what a kind of lack of democracy could be seen in most of the political parties in most of the democracies, and in India as well it could be seen. And the second challenge is, well, we are talking about 4 main challenges about the political parties. Now second challenge is related to the first one. As all the decision making power is for the top leaders, then it is very obvious, isn't it, that all the ordinary citizens, all the ordinary members of that political party would not have any kind of chance to become a top leader. In many of the cases of political parties, what is seen that there is a family system in a political party. That is, father is the leader of the family, then after that his son would be the leader of the political party, and after that his daughter or son would be the leader of that political party, and it would just continue the family to family. It would be that generations were taking upon the political parties because of the support from their parents or from their ancestors of the family. And it could be seen in the one of the party that we have discussed. in Indian National Congress. Now, in Indian National Congress, it has seen many times, and many people are critics because of this. So we can just say that this kind of passing the top leadership or kind of decision making power to their family members, to their kind of family members, or making the nepotism. So we can just say that that is what is the second challenge, second mistake, second challenge in the political parties. Now third challenge in any political party could be that they are making more money and muscle power. What happens that they just have to win elections in any criteria. That is the main aim of any political party, and for doing so they can go to any limits, they can go to shortcuts or any limits, and that's why even today what is seen that even criminals are stealing in the elections. And what is seen that all the companies who are funding those political parties have more decision making power in the political parties, and that is why many rich people are now contesting in elections. Many rich people, or those people who have a lot of power, are contesting in elections. Well, just think about it. If anyone has a lot of power, if anyone has a lot of money, then why is he electing in elections? Why is he contesting in elections? Isn't it just too abrupt? So we can just say that is why even today even criminals or many rich people are now contesting in elections as well. Now fourth challenge that all the political parties have to face is that they are not giving any kind of choice to the voters of the country, of the democracies. Now there is, over the decades, over the years, what is seen by the surveys, by conducting sample surveys, it's seen that all the parties are now having the similar kind of ideologies, and it could be seen with examples as well. Now in Britain there are two parties, that are the Labour parties and the Conservative parties. Now they don't have that much ideological kind of differences. They are all becoming similar. Now only difference is that of framing the laws, but there isn't any kind of another kind of difference between these two parties. So that could be seen in India in a large way as well, in a large manner. Now what is being done in India, especially if we talk about India, then in many parties, not all the parties are giving any kind of choice to the voters. Now what happens that now people, if they choose any kind of MLA or MPs, any candidate, now what would happen, that he will shift to another party. So it would be just against the people, wouldn't it be, that they chose people from this party and now they are going to another party. So it would be just against the choice of the people, and people would also think that they are not having that much choice, because now the ideologies, the kind of aspirations, the ideas of all the parties are becoming similar to one another. Their aspects are becoming similar, and they are just doing anything for winning the elections, for having public support. But now public are also becoming tired. Haven't you seen it that in India there are many people who have voter cards as well, who have voter IDs as well, but they are not going to vote in the elections because they think that what would happen, there isn't that much choice at all. So they just think that there isn't any use of giving elections, of giving votes to the contest in elections. So that is the people mindset in our country, in today's area, in today's world. Now next and last topic that we have got in this chapter is, how can parties be reformed? So how can parties be reformed? Now there can be many suggestions. Can there be for reforming any political party? But it depends on the will of the political party as well. If they are themselves are not willing to be reformed, then how can we pressure them, pressurize? Do you think that citizens, if the citizens pressurize the political parties, they would be reformed? Well, now over years there can be many suggestions by the citizens. Well, let us discuss some of them that have been accepted by some of the institutions of our country. Now it has been, the Supreme Court has law down that if there is any criminal, every candidate has to make a kind of document, a proper document of all his profiles, of all his personal data to the public, like about his criminal cases that are pending upon him, and his worth, net worth, and all those things. But what is actually seen in our country is that they are just fake. There isn't any kind of any kind of rule or policy for checking those documents whether they are true or not. So there aren't any kind of provision in our country. So that could be a problem too. Now that is the first problem. Now that is the first suggestion by the Supreme Court. Now next is that there are many. If any MP and MLA has been chosen by the people, then he cannot shift to another party. He can only shift to another party when he is a candidate or he is not a MLA or MP. If he is, then his seat would be taken by him. him. Like for example, if there are two parties A and B, now one candidate is there, that is C, and he is in party A, and if he has been chosen as the MLA and MP of any constituency, then he cannot shift to the party B. But if he has not been chosen yet, it is still pending, then he can shift as well. So we can just say that is improvement as well, but there is still a need to change as well, because now even today people are not having so many choices. Now those that were accepted by the Supreme Court or by institutions for our country, by election commission, but what about the people? What about the citizens of our country? Now citizens are also giving their opinions or suggestions to the institutions, like they should make laws for disputing, for solving all the disputes in any internal matter of any political parties by popular support, by popular elections in that political party, and there should be a register of documents of all those members in the political parties. So there are many suggestions by the citizens in our country, but we have to reconsider it as well, because if there is any change in the electoral politics, it could be a serious matter as well. It could be a kind of turn up the votes, turn up the table as well. So we can just say that it could be very dangerous, very improvement, and can be anything. So we can just say that what we have seen in this chapter is that we can't just take any suggestion. Supreme Court also has a lot of pressure, doesn't it have? So it also has to check all the suggestions by the citizens very carefully, whether it would affect anyone, whether it would affect someone's rights or fundamental rights, and all those things. Now that is all we have discussed in this chapter, and in this chapter we discussed about political parties, their functions, their meaning, or we have seen that about UPA and NTA and all those things. Now most importantly, we saw about different national political parties and state parties as well. There are a lot of state parties, so we can't just discuss about all of them, but we did discuss about all the national parties, and we saw about Bharatiya Janata Party in the National Congress or NCP or all those parties. So that is all we have discussed in the chapter, and now discuss all the topics and subtopics. Now by this chapter we can have a conclusion for this tour of democracy. Now stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Now next few chapters of this book will be covered in the further upcoming videos. So thank you very much.